Hey everyone. Today I'm doing a deep dive into a phenomenon that's happening right now, but being seriously underestimated. The American fast food industry is experiencing an unprecedented systemic collapse. And what's behind it? A fatal crack in the entire U.S. consumer economy. McDonald's startling confession. Let me start with a shocking fact. McDonald's, the very symbol of American fast food, is reporting vacant parking lots, plummeting traffic, and menu prices that are scaring off longtime customers. Here are the hardcore numbers. Nationwide traffic dropped 3.5% in a single quarter. Strip away the data beautification from new store openings, and the real decline is 4%. This is the company's worst contraction in years. This isn't some minor hiccup marketing can cover up. Transaction counts are falling, employee scheduling is shrinking, peak hour sales are declining. Weekly store performance is sliding. Even when they roll out limited time offers, any brief traffic bump vanishes instantly. Why? Because what's crushing consumers isn't temporary hardship, it's structural financial collapse, the insane pricing spiral. Let's talk about prices. For decades, McDonald's survived economic downturns because it always occupied the bottom rung of the pricing ladder. That protective shield is gone now. Look at these inflation numbers. Restaurant inflation was 7.7% in 2022, 5.8% in 2023, and is still running above 3% in 2025. On paper, it seems moderate, but what does it translate to in reality? The cheapest combo meals are breaking through $9, and two people grabbing a quick bite are looking at $22. What's even more terrifying is the speed of these increases. A meal that used to cost $5 now runs $12. This price shock directly tears up the unspoken agreement between fast food and customers. I give you cheap, you give me volume. When cheap, that core value proposition disappears, the entire business model collapses. The truth about exploding costs. Why are prices spiraling so out of control? Because costs are exploding simultaneously. Labor, insurance, ingredients, transportation, franchise fees, everything's going up at once. Restaurants are backed into a corner where raising prices is the only survival mechanism. But here's the problem. Their customers simply can't handle it. Every dollar in household budgets is getting squeezed. Rent's up, utilities are up, car payments are up, insurance is up. Each additional expense compresses disposable income. When a family sees their drive-through bill approaching $40, the mental accounting instantly rewrites itself. Convenience? Not worth that price. Consumers don't need to launch a boycott movement, the math makes the decision for them. The gap between menu pricing and household budgets keeps widening, and every price increase accelerates customer loss. It's a cycle no promotion can reverse. The mass disappearance of customers. The real crisis isn't the prices themselves, it's that the entire customer base is crumbling. Low and middle-income Americans, the backbone of the fast food industry, are facing financial strangulation. Discretionary spending has been slashed to bare survival necessities. When a family reaches this point, even a $9 fast food meal requires careful consideration. National-level financial crises are erupting simultaneously. Rent has skyrocketed 30% since 2020. Auto insurance has exploded 20% in 2 years. Credit card debt has broken through $1.3 trillion. Default rates are climbing at the fastest pace since the Great Depression. Each one is devouring dollars that used to flow to fast food restaurants. The killing blow. SNAP benefit cuts. 42 million Americans rely on food stamps at some point. Any reduction means removing billions of dollars in monthly purchasing power from the most price-sensitive demographic. Fast food restaurants heavily depend on this group, especially during those tight end-of-month budget days. When this safety net contracts, traffic doesn't gradually decline, it drops off a cliff. Death certificate for the value menu. What does the disappearance of the dollar menu signify? It marks the mathematical collapse of the American fast food business model. For years, $1 items were the industry's traffic formula, attracting massive customer volumes and generating huge sales. But the economic foundation supporting $1 burgers no longer exists. In today's environment, every $1 item sold loses money, and no national chain can survive that equation. Do the math, and it's obvious. Some states mandate wages above $20 per hour, while others hover around $12, creating an impossible pricing dilemma for multi-state operators. Beef prices are elevated, Transportation costs are up. Insurance premiums have surged. By the time a sandwich reaches the customer, ingredients, wages, utilities, rent, and franchise fees add up to $2, $3 before profit is even considered. That's why value menus have quietly morphed into $3, $4, $5 menus. Not because companies want to abandon low-price strategies, but because the operational arithmetic of American restaurants no longer supports the pricing structure generations grew up with. The illusion of cheap fast food shattered the moment costs, exceeded customer expectations. The life-or-death struggle of franchisees. When the value model collapses, the first casualties aren't corporate executives, they're the franchisees actually opening their doors every day. Their financial survival depends on a pricing structure that no longer works. The numbers they face are merciless. Labor regulations in many states push wages above $20 per hour. Commercial rent easily hits $10,000, $12,000 monthly. Single location operating costs have exploded 25% above pre-pandemic levels. Franchisees absorb nearly all these costs. Meanwhile, the weakening customer base destroys the only mechanism that kept stores profitable. High frequency, predictable volume. Even a 3 to 4% drop in daily transactions can devour a store's entire profit margin. For franchisees operating on razor-thin margins while servicing loans, paying staff, and meeting corporate upgrade requirements, small traffic declines are catastrophic. Debt is the final straw. Many operators are carrying heavy debt loads. Restaurant renovations, drive-through expansions, corporate modernization standards. Now, with elevated interest rates, refinancing turns once profitable stores into monthly loss machines. A store that generated steady income in 2019 might not even break even now, simply because financing costs have doubled. Corporate disconnect from reality. Corporate demands uniform national pricing, uniform branding, uniform promotions, but franchisees face local realities that headquarters strategies can't solve. Promotions that work in low-cost states destroy profits in high-wage regions. Operators are caught between angry customers and indifferent corporate offices, unable to satisfy either side. Industry-wide chain reaction. This pressure isn't unique to McDonald's. It signals the official start of a decline sweeping the entire American fast food industry. Competitor data is equally brutal. Wendy's traffic has dropped 6.12% in recent quarters. Burger King is down 3.12%. Jack in the Box has plummeted 7.7%. These aren't minor adjustments, they're traffic erosion severe enough to destabilize entire store networks. The reasons are identical across the board. Declining American disposable income, continuously rising menu prices, unrelenting operational costs. But for brands without McDonald's scale, the impact is even more lethal. Fewer customers, weaker brand loyalty, less supplier negotiating power, sales drops that McDonald's can weather for a quarter can push regional chains straight toward bankruptcy. The unexpected impact of weight loss drugs. There's another overlooked factor, GLP-1 weight loss medications. Millions of American adults are using them, reducing overall calorie demand. For brands built on large portions, combo meals, and impulse consumption, even modest appetite declines create measurable revenue losses. This is a structural reset in nationwide consumption that promotions and limited-time items simply can't counter. As brands weaken, new patterns emerge. Store closures, reduced operating hours, layoffs, deferred maintenance. These are visible symptoms of an industry entering decline, not adapting to a slow year. The decline is synchronized across all price points, all regions, all major brands. That's why this collapse can't simply be blamed on McDonald's. It reflects a deeper fracture inside the American consumer economy. Total household budget collapse. The decline sweeping through fast food restaurants is rooted in the complete collapse of American household budgets. The pressure destroying McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King sales stems from a deeper implosion inside American family budgets. When average consumers can't even maintain the lowest tier of discretionary spending, every business built on high-frequency, low-price purchases starts failing. The vicious spiral of living costs includes rent increases exceeding 30% since 2020, auto insurance exploding 20% in 2 years, monthly utilities rising endlessly with no ceiling, and credit card balances surpassing $1.3 trillion, with interest rates breaking through 20% APR. These aren't minor nuisances. They're structural blows devouring every dollar Americans once spent on fast food, casual dining, and retail shopping. The disintegration of income stability. Waves of layoffs across logistics, retail, manufacturing, and white-collar industries have pushed employment stability to post-pandemic lows. Even employed people feel suffocated. Real wages stagnate while commuting, childcare, health insurance, and deductibles devour larger percentages of income each month. Families that once had $200 in spare cash now might have $20 or nothing at all. Predictable shifts in consumer behavior. When financial pressures compound, consumer behavior shifts predictably. Fewer restaurant visits, delayed small purchases, vanished impulse buys. Even low-price chains get treated as luxuries rather than everyday options. That's why fast food's decline isn't an isolated incident. It's the first measurable casualty of consumer classes hitting their limits. Every data point in household budgets directly correlates to volume losses erasing fast food profits. One industry collapses because another collapsed first. When essential expenses devour paychecks and credit cards max out, the first thing Americans cut is convenience, consumption, exactly the transactions fast food restaurants depend on. Corporate desperation, transformation. The financial pressure crushing American households is also forcing businesses into survival mode. As consumption weakens and demand fragments, companies nationwide are abandoning long-term business models and shifting to emergency cost-cutting. UPS is the clearest case study. Over the past year, they've eliminated 48,000 positions, shut down 93 facilities, and replaced $45 per hour full-time drivers with gig workers earning half that rate. These aren't strategic experiments. They're inevitable consequences of domestic operating margins crashing from 14.2% a decade ago to 6.4% today. FedEx mirrors this decline with margins squeezed to near 6%. This shift toward gig work and automation isn't isolated. Industries across America are implementing similar strategies. Cutting staff, reducing hours, consolidating locations, slashing benefits, redirecting investment toward high-margin sectors like healthcare, B2, B logistics, or subscription services. These transformations reveal a new corporate reality. American businesses can no longer rely on stable consumer demand to sustain traditional cost structures. The connection is direct. Consumers cut spending, traffic declines, revenue shrinks. Businesses must contract or face collapse. This cycle is accelerating nationwide, forcing companies to make decisions unthinkable a decade ago. The reckoning of decades of accumulated problems. The corporate restructuring sweeping America didn't appear out of nowhere. It's the consequence of decades spent suppressing natural economic corrections. For over 40 years, America has relied on low interest rates, aggressive stimulus, and repeated interventions to prevent recessions from fully playing out. Every crisis was met with new credit, new liquidity, new debt, rather than letting imbalances naturally clear. This strategy postponed pain, but amplified consequences. Today, the bill is coming due, all at once. The burden is falling simultaneously on households and businesses. Consumers face high rent, unaffordable insurance, credit cards at 20% plus interest. Businesses face shrinking profits, high borrowing costs, weak demand. Neither side has the capacity for quick recovery. The system is adjusting through contraction rather than growth. The very reset policymakers spent decades trying to avoid. McDonald's is the economic canary in the coal mine. The deterioration inside McDonald's matters far more than declining menu sales. McDonald's is deeply embedded in the structure of American consumer spending. Its model depends on frequency, affordability, and broad participation across all income levels. When this company experiences sustained traffic decline, it reveals not just a shift in preferences, but a shift in the nation's financial capacity. Lost traffic, rising prices, franchisee instability. These aren't isolated incidents. They're economic indicators, disguised as business data. Consumer depression doesn't suddenly announce itself. It begins quietly through millions of repeated small decisions, fewer drive-through stops, delayed purchases, smaller orders, canceled outings. These reductions aggregate into nationwide contraction that first becomes visible in industries serving everyday Americans. Fast food is that industry. And McDonald's, with its ubiquity and dependence on volume, becomes the earliest and clearest warning signal of future trends. The closing. The American fast food industry isn't experiencing a cyclical adjustment, it's witnessing the structural collapse of the consumer economy. When the cheapest, most widespread dining network can't sustain traffic, it means the low and middle-income foundation of American consumption is under unprecedented pressure. This isn't temporary, it's persistent. McDonald's empty parking lots. The vanished dollar menu. Franchisee financial distress. Industry-wide synchronized decline. These puzzle pieces form a complete picture. American consumer purchasing power is systematically disintegrating. And this collapse may have only just begun. If you liked this content, remember to hit like and subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you next time.